everybody and welcome to the Shirley Ryder Show, and today we're talking to Ruby Casworth.
That's good.
And Ruby is from Liverpool.
I am indeed.
And of course, Ruby, I met you here in the West Home and I was
Yeah.
doing some singing.
Right.
So that was really awesome, and I found out some amazing things about Ruby. First of all, you were in Liverpool. Would you like to tell us about growing up under the war?
Oh, well, I was 12 when the war broke out.
Yeah.
And yes, it was a pretty horrifying time. We were bombed to hell in Liverpool. They aimed for the dock area and that was just blown to pieces. But so was Liverpool. So was Liverpool.
Yeah.
Yes, it was terrifying. Terrifying. We
Yeah.
actually could hear the planes. We had a whole month of bombing every single night
Wow.
in the June Blitz. And you could hear them coming over at 6 o'clock because it was in England, that would be summer. And you could hear them and they get louder and louder and louder. And then you realise there were hundreds of planes over your head.
Must have been very, very frightening.
Terrifying.
Yeah.
And then they just dropped the bombs anywhere. They really
Yeah.
did drop. Mind you, they did set the docks on fire and all that area was on
Yeah.
fire. But yes, they dropped them everywhere. They actually dropped one massive landmine onto a school that had a massive air raid shelter. And everybody used to get off the buses and go into this place. And all, it'd be like Coronation Street houses. And they all empty and went in. And that alone killed somewhere in between 400 and 500 people just that night.
How awful.
Yes.
Yeah.
Terrible, terrible, terrible.
Yeah.
Yes, it was terrifying.
And looking back, in your childhood, obviously you got through past the war, and growing up. So you went nursing.
I did. I was
Yeah.
nursing when I was 18,
Yeah.
and just straight after the war.
Yeah.
And yes, that was an amazing time of my life.
And then was it? Because you did some voluntary work a little bit later on. Do you want to tell us about
I
that?
did. I did voluntary work for the bereaved,
Yeah.
and it was a national organisation where everybody did
Yeah.
voluntary work, and the Queen was the head of this, and that's really what happened. During those years I was there, it was about 30 years I think it was, I was doing that. We had a silver jubilee, and I've forgotten where we held it in London, one of the huge halls,
Yeah.
and it was massive, and the Queen was there, and that afternoon I had afternoon tea with the Queen.
And can you tell us?
I think there were 4 of us really. It wasn't just her and I. It was 4 of us that were chosen from the whole of the
Yeah. And you
the
said
organisation.
she had lovely eyes.
She had beautiful eyes, and
Yeah.
still has, I rather think. And she was so natural to talk to.
Lovely.
She really was.
What sort of tea did she drink?
What sort of?
Tea.
Oh, I don't know. I can't remember that. I didn't take much note. I was talking what she was wearing. But no, she was just wonderful.
What was she
And
wearing?
I can't remember.
Can't remember.
But she had this wonderful way of asking deep questions about what was happening in Liverpool, and yes, she just blew me away. She was very intelligent questions she was asking about this. But then she was the head of this whole organisation. Wonderful woman, a wonderful woman.
And of course, you also worked at Granada.
I did. I worked at Granada for many years, and that too was very interesting.
And of course, there was someone that used to come and visit you at Granada. Was it Granada?
Oh, that was Paul McCartney.
Paul McCartney from the Beatles, everyone.
Yes.
That's pretty cool.
His cousin was the doorman
Yeah.
on the door at Granada Television, and whenever he was in Liverpool, he would call and see his cousin, and on his way over the river to see his favourite aunt. But he'd come in, he would have coffee with us all. He was just one Liverpudlian boy.
Is there something that you can tell us about him that stands out in your mind, a memory with Paul?
About Paul McCartney.
Yeah.
Well, it was just he has typical Liverpool humour.
Yeah.
Because you need sense of humour to live in Liverpool. It's automatically comes from your birth.
Yeah.
And yes, he was so good. He was so good. He was a wonderful person.
Yeah.
And my ex-husband, he taught Ringo Starr,
That's right. Yeah.
Riversdale Technical College.
And so Ringo, are we allowed to know what subjects he took, or?
I would rather think it'd be maths, but I'm not sure.
Yeah.
I'm not terribly sure. So long ago.
Yeah. Did you meet Ringo, or just your husband meet him?
No, I didn't.
You
no,
didn't
no,
know?
Everybody knew of him, of course, and it was amazing both, and a remark my husband said about him, which I will not tell you.
No, we're not allowed to know.
And but I did say, I bet you wish you had his bank account.
Exactly.
Yeah, but yes, and the older one, John. Well, he went to the same schools as my eldest daughter. Yes.
Wow.
So yes.
Amazing, eh? Small town.
Absolutely.
Yeah. They just went on to do such great things, didn't they?
Absolutely.
Beatles don't get much bigger than that.
Yes.
What's your favourite Beatles song? I asked you this before, but
I think Yellow Submarine.
Yellow Submarine.
Everybody knew that.
Everyone knew that one.
They had some wonderful songs.
Yeah, there's so many. It's hard to choose, isn't it?
And Paul McCartney was the ringleader in that lot, He was made up so many of those songs.
Yeah, him and John. Yeah. Oh, look. That's anyway. So life went on, and so you finished your nursing, and you've done all that, and then you ended up in New Zealand.
I did. It's my middle daughter.
Yeah.
Shirley. She was a theatre sister in a big hospital in Liverpool, and she came to say that she was moving hospitals, and I said, "Oh, I thought you were happy at the Royal. What did you have in mind?" And she said, "Auckland." And I said, thinking, "Auckland, where in England is Auckland?" And she said, "And New Zealand." And I said, "Where the hell is New Zealand?"
Yeah.
And she said, "If you go past it when you're on your way back." And so she came out here as a theatre sister, and my younger one came out. She was in finance, and then, believe it or not, the eldest girl, who was a maths teacher, came out with her family, daughter and husband. So that's
awesome.
30 years ago.
And of course, you've been learning a little bit of Maori language.
Absolutely, yes.
Yeah.
My girl who helps me here teaches me the Maori.
That's lovely. And I've got to ask you this before I'll let you go. Looking back, because this is an interesting question, looking back, you've obviously been, because like I say, your age, Ruby's 92 years old. So looking back over the last 92 years, you must have seen some huge changes. I mean, that's nearly a century, isn't it, really? Gosh.
Unbelievable changes. Unbelievable
What would
changes.
be maybe 5 of the biggest changes or a few of the biggest changes that you would say that you've noticed?
The biggest changes of these things was stops all conversation, and adults as well as children are into this thing, and it stops conversation. It stops. Well, how sad.
And in relationships too, what they all.
Yes. Even if you went into the doctor's surgery, you find them sat there with this thing in their hand, and you say,
"Yeah, oh no, I'm
yes,
not guilty."
I think that's the biggest thing.
Totally agree. Yes. Totally agree. That whole social media, it's getting out of control, and it's not like how we're sitting down. I've got my camera rolling, but it's not like how we're just sitting down here talking and having a natural conversation.
No. I don't think the children read enough today. I don't think they read enough. I don't think they have conversations long enough. No, it's sad old world, really. I'm glad I lived when I did.
It's a strange thing, social media.
Yes.
I mean, the only thing that I prefer about social media over television, personally, is that at least you're interacting with it. But I just don't think the interaction is actually anything genuine. It's just all...
Well, I just wonder where I'm glad I lived when I did. And I just wonder, which way is this world going? Well, you just wonder, don't you? It's a world that's foreign to me.
Exactly.
Foreign to me. I think good manners have gone out the door, and I find that very, very sad.
Yeah.
Table manners have gone out the door.
Yeah. The children,
sad.
The generation that sort of...
No.
It's all changed. I mean, even in my generation, you know, it was bringing up kids. It was quite tough.
Yes.
Because of that, you've lost all your ability to parent, really.
Yes, isn't it sad?
Does the states just come into the family home?
I know.
Yeah.
I know.
Yeah. Anyway, 3 more things. You got 3 more things that you think's maybe a positive change. Anything positive?
Like what?
I don't know. Is there anything that you think's better now than it was back then? Or was it all pretty negative?
No, I
No.
prefer the old days.
You prefer the old days.
I do. I thought.
Yeah.
I found, and yet it hasn't all been lost. You know, this warmth of people and looking at. But I do think. I suppose like in my day, the elderly would be nursed at home. I remember with my mother, we brought her out of hospital to die at home, and there were 5 daughters round her bed at 3 o'clock in the morning. That seems not to happen today.
No.
And I find that so sad.
Very
so
sad.
sad.
Yeah.
That's changed. Yes, they put into homes and put away for somebody else to look after them. It's family. Where's the family?
Exactly.
Yeah. Yes.
I'm just glad that your dog is here. It's a beautiful dog.
And he's getting so old.
I know.
He's nearly blind, but he still tells you when you know you haven't fed him or
I'm sure.
yes, he does, and he tells. But he's the most wonderful dog.
Yeah.
And he just lies here in bed with me in his little basket. Because he's only as big as a cat, you know.
I know, tiny.
But he's got the bark of an Alsatian. And he's frightened of nothing.
No.
He's frightened of nothing.
Aww.
Yes, he's gorgeous. Yes.
Oh, well, look, thank you very much. Do you have anything else that you want to add? Any other adventures? Oh, you did talk about the cruise ships. You've been on lots of cruises.
Yes, 33 cruises. And I've seen amazing places.
Yeah.
And really and truly, the world is changing. The world is changing. But, you know, really, in all the places I've been to, New Zealand takes some beating.
Absolutely.
I just love it to bits. It's always made me very welcome here, and I feel part and parcel of it.
Yeah.
And all my grandchildren were born here, all except one. And yes, and she's the first one of the 6 grandchildren to get married, and I've now got the other on the 29th of February she was born. So she's, every 4 years she has a birthday, and she's been called Mila Ruby. And so that's my first great grandchild.
Yeah. Oh, that's wonderful.
I can't get the others married.
No.
And they're all in late 20s.
Oh, well, maybe in the 30s.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a different
Times
world.
have changed.
It's a different world. I mean, even marriage is going down the Google and it.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So
Yes.
Rain,
We never heard of a word called partners.
oh,
That
I know.
you wouldn't dare. You wouldn't dare.
It's a lot more extreme than just partners. Won't go into that subject. Yeah, no, the world's a different place, isn't it?
Life's changed.
What advice would you have for us? If you were to give everybody a bit of advice, well, not that I'm young, but
I would say never lose your sense of humour.
no, I would agree with that.
Because
absolutely,
that gets you over the hills.
Yes.
And the higher hills. It does.
the amount of times that I've laughed at cancer.
Yeah.
Because what else can you do?
Absolutely. That's what it's all about, isn't it?
Yeah.
And keep a smile on your face and help people and be kind to people. Be kind. Don't pull them apart.
Because you don't know what people are going through.
No, you haven't a clue.
No.
You know, sometimes people talk through their heads.
Yeah.
But no.
Thank you.
Make this a happier world.
Totally.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah.
So much heartache in this world.
And leave some toilet papers for me on the shelves in the supermarket.
Absolutely.
It all comes down to kindness.
You know, you just said we were brought up with paper, newspaper.
You can always leave you can use leaves or anything.
We never had toilet paper.
No, we'll be right. I'm sure we'll see this one out.
I used to have the job of cutting them out and putting a needle through the lot and then threading the string through and hanging them up. Toilet paper? No, we didn't have toilet paper.
Wow.
Yeah. But there you go, life's changed.
Life's change was one of the changes of life.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Yeah.
It's lovely talking to you.
Oh, it was lovely talking to you, and lovely coming to sing the other day. We just Jen and me had a lovely time
Well,
singing.
so did I. You made my afternoon beautiful.
Oh,
You've got such a beautiful voice,
Thank
and
you.
I could have sat there for another hour
yeah.
after you'd finished. But
Oh, so could
what,
we
what
actually.
a lovely voice you have.
Oh, thank you. That's
Yes.
really nice of
You
you.
really have.
Oh, it was lovely. You know, it's just nice to actually. You know what's really nice is to actually sing and have people listening.
Yes.
Because you go out and so many times people just go.
Well, it's the way of saying thank you. Thank
Yeah.
you for making my afternoon so wonderful.
It's just lovely to have people listening.
Yes, that's
yeah,
what I mean.
so thank you.
Yes, and
Yeah.
not talking.
No talking, thank you.
No, it's so very rude. But there's
Yeah, but there's another thing.
Others have gone.
I guess another thing, generation to generation. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm.
No, you were wonderful that afternoon. You made me very happy.
Oh, that's good because I wasn't actually at my best, my singing voice that day.
No, well,
Had some hay fever. It's just this time of the year.
no, you
Yeah.
sounded beautiful.
Thank you very much. Oh, well, look, thank you very much for being on the show.
Thank
And
you.
hopefully it's all
Thank
turned
you.
out. We had a bit of camera problems before, and
We
we're
did
hoping
indeed.
this time, if it's not turned out, I'll have to come back.
Thank
Goodness
you.
knows what's going on.
Lovely meeting you.
Yeah, lovely meeting you too, Ruby. And hopefully we'll be back to sing some more songs.